I just wanted to like sort of touch base a little bit about why I even went into this industry of creativity, being an artist, taking it seriously, and how I attach art to spirituality. And one thing that I've noticed about some of my conversations with other people, and I know in the launch of this podcast, which is actually the first of many, hopefully, that I don't share as much of my testimony as much as I should to curate this kind of relatability, right? So I want to start emphasizing on doing that more and making it a point to really allow people to learn me, not just through my truths that I was able to assimilate through my experiences, but actually connect those truths with specific experiences and things that I've literally went through to actually transgress those understandings. One of those things being God's language, and why I emphasize so much on being able to recognize these patterns and to recognize God's language, God's numbers. Like how I talk is very abstract and maybe in part my tism. But I pretty much just want to talk about why I, again, value those numbers and how I feel like they found me when actually reflecting my mind into my processing fluency, creating art. There was particular times, several times, where I would be drawing and having this satellite just being the instrument of God, where it's like this intention, reflecting your mind, right? And having everything that we already need within us. Again, honoring that spirit. One instance where I learned about a concept through my art without even having any knowledge of it. Like I tapped into some kind of Akashic record, so to speak, right? Which, if you're not familiar with Akashic record is anything that's living, has living cells. They're a part of this Akashic record, right? So it's like that psychic ability happens when people are able to tap into that. There's a reason why there's symbiotic relationships between organisms where they just naturally are in flow state and the communal, and then where telepathy comes in and stuff. Going back into this project, I was just, again, starting off with art. This was before it was a business. This was just a therapy for me. It's like a diary. And I was able to come up with something called the Fibonacci sequence. Like it was a black swan ballerina that I was painting with her wings up, and her hair created the swan. So it was a black swan, right? But she was in ballerina pose, and with her hair connected to where her hands came up and her wings, I was able to box in from where her face was this Fibonacci sequence. And I didn't know what Fibonacci sequence was at the time. I just literally drew out this sequence through those points that I've already painted. And I later, after drawing it, because again, this was just something that, innately we already know all of these truths. It's already embedded in us through generations, through our ancestors, through preservation. And again, those teachers, preserving those miracles. And so I learned about Fibonacci sequence that day, just doing my art, painting through inspiration. Inspiration is being in spirit. So I was in spirit, I was in flow state, and created out of thin air. Well, I don't think it's thin air. Again, I feel like it's being guided by ascended masters kind of thing, in which I have another story about that with numbers, how I was confirmed being guided by ascended masters. So from that painting, I was scrolling, what was that? I literally just created this, clicked on it, learned about Fibonacci sequence. And if anybody knows what Fibonacci sequence is, it is numbers. It's a ratio. It's the golden ratio. And you find this golden ratio in literally all of life forms. This is literally God's creation. And learning that and being able to choreograph like spaces with this sequence in mind, and how we do it naturally every day without recollection. Like a lot of the greatest go off of this Fibonacci sequence because we're mimicking God's creation. Like flowers bloom in this sequence. You see it in everything. So that's just one of many stories as to why I take my art so seriously, because of how much it is a reflection, not just of my mind and my spirit, but of all creation. God's spirit, the Holy Spirit. Tune in for more. That's just one of many.